viewers, and thank you for joining us today for a special, unusual, but incredibly unique episode of Talk the Talk with me, Tish. Today we welcome Simran Mathura, the daughter of the well-known Indian celebrities Vikash and JJ Mathura. These amazing and supportive souls are not unfamiliar to being in front of the camera. However, today is their beautiful and talented daughter Simran's well-deserved moments to share her inspirational story with the public. For me, an inspiring woman is a woman who can fill someone with the desire or urge to overcome any obstacle placed in her path. A woman that creates a better world. A woman who lives her life free from definitions and constraints, free from generally accepted ideals and stereotypes of beauty and success. Simran is exactly that. Young, intelligent woman. She's a woman who is respectful, optimistic, affectionate, and caring. She is her father's pride and joy, her mother's princess, and her brother's best friend. But today, Simran is our ray of hope to inspire many other young women by sharing her story with us. So, let's welcome Simran Mathura, and as always, today's exclusive interview is proudly brought to you by Seriti Solutions. Hi Simran.
Hi.
Oh, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. You're so colorful and so bright and vibrant when you walked in here.
Thank you.
Okay, Simran, let's start off by telling our viewers what you're currently doing. Okay,
Sure.
And yeah.
Okay, so currently I'm in my third year
Okay.
of spa therapy and beauty therapy. And this year I started lecturing as well. So I started taking classes during the day.
Alright.
And then I also do makeup for film and television part-time.
Yes.
And then my business degree comes in handy because I help people write their masters and their thesis as well.
Okay, are you enjoying this?
I am.
This
I
is
am
your
loving
passion,
it.
right?
Yep.
You're literally living your passion.
Living the dream.
Okay, so Simran, you are so young, yet you are studying towards a second degree, right? And tell us, what gives you the motivation and the strength to do all of this?
I could not be where I am without my parents and my family, definitely. They have been my rock through it all, and I'm a very stressful person.
Okay.
I love to stress. That is one of my passions.
Right.
So I could never have done any of this without the motivation of striving for success without my family.
Yes. What is one way you can actually... okay, first let's talk about your passion.
Sure.
Okay, why makeup? And art, you're a very artsy person.
Yeah,
right?
I do get that creative side from my parents, obviously with their industry. But makeup came about when I was 17, and it started as a way to cover up like bad skin, because that was an insecurity. And then from there, I needed a job when I was 17, and my parents said, "You're in college now, time to make your own money."
Right.
And so I went to a massive makeup brand and I asked for a job.
Okay.
And they said, "Come for an interview, bring a model, let's see how you sell." And I did just that, and they gave me a job a day later. And then after my contract with them ended, they asked me to come on for a longer period of time. So I got a part-time job there, and then from there it flourished.
Oh, wow. Okay, so what is one way that you can actually teach our ladies that are listening to celebrate your body every day? And we're going to get to that a bit later in terms of what your challenges has been, and you know, your the unfortunate, I would say, the unfortunate situation you were placed in last year in terms of being hospitalized. But yeah, can you maybe share that?
My piece of advice to women out there who are, men out there, anybody out there who's really having body image issues is just remember, don't be hard on yourself for what other people think of you, because at the end of the day, their opinions don't pay your bills. That's something my mom taught me very early on in life, and it's a thing where if you're healthy and you're happy, that's all that matters, because life is way too short to care about fitting into a pair of jeans when you can just go buy a bigger size.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. So what advice would you, and how can young girls increase their body confidence?
It's been a relatively new journey for me as well, but what I would, as a piece of advice, give to other people is just remember that your body doesn't define you, doesn't define your personality. You know, at the end of the day, as cliche as people want to say it sounds, it's your personality that matters. It's the way you treat people that matters. Because like I think it was Maya Angelou that once said, people will forget how you looked, they will forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Oh, I love that. I love Maya Angelou. Funny you bring her up in our interview, because Maya Angelou, well, Oprah actually looks up to her, and I look up to Oprah. So thank you for that. Okay, maybe can you describe basically a time that you have felt, conscious due to portrayals of body image in the media, and how do you overcome this?
So a time that I actually felt like it was really affecting me and my mental health was, let's say I'm 22 now, so for the last 21 years, I have felt that, because it's always a case of, you'll see that beautiful Indian woman and she doesn't have like hair on her arms, or she is beautiful and properly like finessed and airbrushed, and it was a whole thing of fitting into a mold that is not made by people you really care about at the end of the day, because you're not concerned with their opinion. So for me, it started at home, where my parents started to, I mean, every mother tells their daughter, listen, you're beautiful. Every father tells them, you're the apple of my eye. And like my thing with my parents was, I'm your child, you have to say that. Like, you have to say that. That was the contract you signed when you had me. You have to compliment me and boost my ego. But it started to change my perception, because I always cared about what other people thought. And it just turned into a case of, I was getting into a bad place mental health wise, and it started to take a toll on my body. Like I was starving myself, and I looked great, like my waist was fantastic, but like I was at my unhappiest, and I was at my weakest as well. And so whilst I looked the part and I fit the mold, I could never enjoy the things my parents would give me, because it wasn't healthy enough, or it wasn't what I envisioned I should be doing to fit this hourglass figure, or whatever the case is. So it was like one day I woke up and I was like, you know what, screw this. Like, I want to have mayonnaise and I want to eat that slice of cake.
Your mom, she's a chef in the kitchen.
I mean, 1000%.
Because you are vegetarian, right? And I know she literally, I stalk her page to check out her menu, and I mean, her creations. So
1000%.
I don't blame you for that. So if you could change the way women are portrayed in the media, how would you do that, Simran?
I would help the media realize that certain things that they see as flaws are normal. Like, why airbrush cellulite when everybody has it? You know, why slim down somebody from a size 2 to a size 0 when that's the body she was given and she worked hard to get? So if I could change something in the media, it would be to portray more real woman in the aspect of it being a real woman, and not the way that we would want real women to look.
No, definitely, I agree with you. And how can girls prevent themselves from not caring about how others perceive their bodies?
It's a journey. It's not gonna, it's not gonna be like one morning you wake up and you just don't care. I think it's about forming that thick skin, because it's gonna happen inside your house. You know, there's always that auntie that's like, don't you want to use like a little turmeric on your face and lighten your skin, or don't? Because I grew up with people telling me I was dark, and then my dad was like, did you see me? Because like my dad has like is of a darker complexion. So my advice to young women out there, anybody out there who is struggling with the impact of other people's opinions on them, is, at the end of the day, as my mom once said, if they don't pay my bills, if they don't affect my immediate family, you don't matter. And
your mental health and just your growth from within, it shouldn't matter. Yeah, absolutely. So Simran, the reason you're actually here, just recently, I don't know, I think it was a week ago, your mom posted something about you having to display something in the classroom about your body, and you stood up there and you were the courageous one. And so your mom asked you, how did you manage to do that, Simran? And you replied to her, and she was so flabbergasted, so moved, that she actually posted it on Facebook. And that is why I felt I needed to reach out to you. Can you take take us through that, and just tell us what happened.
So my mom is my best friend. My mom knows everything about me, every moment, every fall I've taken. My mom is aware of it.
Right.
So my mom is very, very privy to the body image issues that I have been experiencing since I was very young.
Yep.
So when we do something called physiatrics, you basically have to stand there in your underwear. Or even just like your panty, no bra, nothing. And it's all about body analysis and finding spinal faults and things like that. And it takes a lot of courage to do that because you're in a classroom of 20 girls that you don't know or that you're not friends with, and you are bearing it all to the world.
Yes.
And it got to a point where I realized that for me, any little comment that somebody used to make about my body, like, should you really be eating that? Or don't you think like an extra hour at gym would help? Or whatever that case was, without knowing me, without knowing my life, without knowing my struggles. They loved to point fingers and make comments and do whatever was necessary to like really get in my head and get their point across. And so I said to them, I was like, understand, in this class, there's no fat, there's no skinny, there's no nothing. I don't want body shaming. Like it was my lecture. I said, I do not want body shaming. I don't want someone to look at someone who's too thin and say, maybe you should eat a cheeseburger. And I don't want someone to look at someone who's overweight and be like, maybe you shouldn't have eaten that cheeseburger. Because it's none of your business, frankly, because you don't pay their grocery bill. So I don't see what the point is of other people tearing people down for their appearance. Like, if you don't want to look at me, sweetie, turn around. Like, simple as.
Love it.
So when I got home and I told my mom about the day, I think like for her, she had realized that I was over that body image issue of like, it was like hot summer months and I would wear long sleeves if my arms weren't waxed, or I would wear baggy clothes because I didn't like my stomach, or whatever the case was. And I had gotten past that. Like, that was a big hurdle for me. And I don't want someone to go home and look at themselves in the mirror and be disappointed by what they see.
No, absolutely. I mean, literally sitting with you right now, I'm taking so much from this because I do have body image issues, okay, and my self-esteem is pretty low in terms of my body, and that's because of what I went through in my personal life. So thank you for that. Thank you. I mean, you can always learn. Hey, you always learn every day. So Simran, I want to ask you, last year, you were hospitalized. What was the diagnosis? And I think you might not even know the answer to this question, but because I saw your post recently as well. And tell me, how has this impacted the way you feel about your body? Because I think that might have, your courage of what you did recently, all of this played into it. So
so last year, almost a year to the date, actually. Last year, I was admitted into hospital. It was a Saturday afternoon, and I was getting these like sharp shooting pains. And it was like, it started to become like seizures. And I have no history whatsoever of anything kind of like affecting my brain or affecting my like body in that kind of way. So my parents, obviously being my parents, get me in the car, rush me to the emergency room, to our nearest hospital. And it got to the point where my dad couldn't even drive fast. Like, he was worried, but he couldn't drive fast because any bump on the road would it sent me into shock. And so I got admitted into emergency, and I stayed about a week in hospital. And I got discharged last year. I think it was the 28th of Feb. And I came out knowing not what happened, because they said, we are pretty sure it's encephalitis, which is a brain infection from an insect bite. So it was like on that Friday when I was at campus, I got bitten by an insect, and it's like overnight, my body just couldn't. It just went bizarre. And then I had to have a lumbar puncture in hospital, so they drained spinal fluid from me. So like now, it's like if I get up too fast, it's a head rush. I can't do like sit-ups at the gym anymore like I used to. It's like affecting your life for the rest of it, because now there's an imbalance in your brain fluid as well. So when I got out of there, I don't remember that week at all. It's like a blackout week. Apparently, I was singing like Ghostbusters in the emergency room to my dad. And I don't remember a thing. My brother's best friend even came to see me. I don't remember any of it.
Wow.
But then my mom showed me a video of me going through one of my seizures. And I was a wreck. And I was like, it got to a point where I told my mom, I was like, remember, I'm an organ donor, because I thought I was going to die. I thought I was gone at that point. And so when I was doing that whole thing with my class last week, I realized, you know what, my body's been through more than anybody else at this point. And the people that were criticizing me, that were chastising me over the last 21 years of my life, 22 years of my life, and that are still doing it to this day, they were not in hospital with me. They did not give me drugs. They did not give me pain relief. They did not do prayers for me. Nothing. It was my body that fought.
I prayed for you, but
thank you. But it was my body that pulled me through. My body that I hated seeing. My body that I always try to cover up. You know, those extra rolls or whatever. And I realized it was that my body that fought to fight and stay alive. And after that, I was like, I'm proud of it, man.
No, absolutely.
I'm proud of it.
Give me a high five, girl, because I feel the same way. I'll tell you why. Because like I said earlier, I also have low self-esteem about my body, and things happened to me in the past to bring me to this. However, I was born with a condition called laryngomalacia, so I literally sleep at a 90-degree angle because I can't breathe. But at that time, when you're struggling for that breath, there's nothing but your own body that brings you out of this. So I get that. So thank you for that. Simran, was there ever a period in your life where you had a low self-image? And how did this impact you? I mean, you talked about 21 years of that, and obviously people and their negativity contributing to that low self-image. But is there one incident that could have happened that really, really knocked it out of the park for you?
There were two.
Okay.
My first one was when I was in grade 1.
Okay.
So I was 6 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, because I started school early. And my mom would come to school to give me and my brother lunch because we lived right across the road. Okay. And she would look at me like always sitting alone. Now, I'm a very social person. And my mom always wondered, like, why are you sitting alone? I was like, no, I'm just eating my lunch, it's fine. And then on the third day, she went to my teacher and she was like, why is Simran sitting alone? And she's like, I don't know, but she does it all the time. Right. So my mom came and sat with me and she says, sweetie, why are you not playing with your friends? Right. And I said to her, I was like, Mommy, they don't want to play with me because I'm fat. I had no friends for months in grade 1 because I was fat. Nobody wanted to be friends with me. So my mom got a job at the school.
Trust JJ Mathura to do that.
My mom gets a job as a teacher at that school, and every day she came and she sat and had lunch with me. And like after a couple weeks, people started realizing, oh my gosh, this is a cool teacher. Like she used to get her kids to wear pajamas to school, and like they used to have pajama parties and everything. And so I started getting friends because of my mom. Because they were like, her mom's cool, I want to be her friend. And that's how I started gaining like that social kind of group. And so my mom kind of like pushed me out there, but then people were also friends with me because of who my mom was. And I was like, justified, my mom's cool. I'd also want to be friends with me if I had my mom. So that was my first one. And then like from very early on, I was like, okay, so image does matter. Like no matter what people say, image matters. And then my second one was when I was in grade 11, and as stupid as this is going to sound, I know a lot of people go through it, and it was because of a boy. Because of a boy. And he always, like, he was a very, very good friend of mine. And I really liked him. And I was never, like, pretty enough, And I think one day he turned around and he said to me, he's like, we could date if you were just thinner. And I was like, that's my goal now. Like instead of being like, oh my God, he's not a nice human being because he only cares about my looks. I was like, okay, that's my goal. Like that's something I can change. I started starving myself for like 6 months. Every time my mom and dad would give me lunch for school, I would go and like give it to the kid that never brought lunch, and my parents would think I ate. I was starving myself. I started working out, and I looked so good at the end of grade 11. We dated for like a month and a half, and then I was like, you really are not like a nice person. And I called it quits. But I needed that lesson to be like, okay, you know what? You put yourself through all of that for another person to give you nothing. I was upset with myself because when I had lost all that weight and I was down to like that goal size and I looked so cute even in crop tops, he looked at me once and he was like, you look beautiful, but I mean if you had her butt you would look better. And I was like, okay, now you know what, now we got a problem. And then I realized like people are always going to want you to change. They always, no matter how hard you work, no matter how healthy. And then my body just like started to give up at that point because I wasn't eating. I wasn't like, I was just exercising 2-3 hours a day. My body started to give up. And so that was my turning point.
And these things happens. It happens for a reason.
Yeah.
It happened, and I'm glad I'm actually glad. I'm gonna say it. I'm glad it happened earlier in your life.
I am as well.
Yeah, because I mean, you get to 30. I'm almost 40, and you get to a point where you're still struggling with it. And unfortunately. There's nothing but these big incidents or these this disheartening situations that you have to face. There's nothing like those to actually pull you out of it and allow you to overcome that. So I'm actually very proud of you. And you know what, just consider this as your early start to discovering Simran Mathura. Yes, definitely. Okay, so this is where all your confidence in yourself and in your body began. So tell me, Simran, how can women promote positive body image, not only for themselves but for others as well?
I think it's look, don't get me wrong, right? So I'm still human, and I will still look at somebody who is not wearing something I would, and I'll be like, but why are you wearing that? And then I'll have to stop myself and be like, but what does that have to do with me? They were comfortable enough to walk out the house and that they look good. Just because I can see a roll or two doesn't mean they don't look good. Because fat is something you have, it's not what you are. So we've been preconditioned almost, if I can say that way, to judge people based on what they look like. And it's about stopping that when you and starting to acknowledge that, okay, you know what, that's not right, because you wouldn't want someone to think that about you. So at the end of the day, it's about understanding that people are happy with their own bodies, man. It has nothing to do with you.
Yes, no, absolutely. So Simran, I couldn't help but do this, okay?
No problem.
Your parents are both very well-known Indian personalities of whom have contributed to the growth of Indian culture and lifestyle in South Africa. And you talked a bit earlier, about them being your pillar of strength. But what influence have they had in your resilient attitude towards life?
My parents have been through a lot, hey?
I know.
In the media and in our private lives. So in the media, obviously everyone knew when they got married, it was a big thing. And then my dad went through his work debacle, and that was in the media. And then my mom has this battle with fibromyalgia that I have been diagnosed with now.
Gosh, no. Okay.
So watching people from the outside looking in, pointing fingers, throwing stones at glass houses, and always making comments on the street, being like, well, this is what you get for marrying somebody younger than you, or this is what happens when you are at court, or whatever nonsense people have said in the past. I've literally watched my parents like water over duck's back. The thick skin my parents have. People feel like keyboard warriors sitting there judging my parents, and I'm actually we make fun of you at dinner.
I love it.
We are how sad are you about your life to comment on somebody else's and think my comment is it's affected them. No, it's really not.
No.
So my parents have this thing where my brother actually started, and he's like, if it doesn't impact my finances, my family, or my field of interest, or my work, doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with your brother. Your handsome brother, by the way. So talking about your brother, you share such an incredibly beautiful bond, right? Why is this so?
So my parents worked a lot when we were younger, very young. So my brother has always had this overprotective thing. Who are you friends with? Why are you going with that boy? Who sent you flowers? And I was like, relax, daddy brought them, just chill. So when I was younger, it used to get on my nerves, and I was like, boy, just let me have my own life. I'm 16, let me live. And the older I got, the more I was grateful for it, and I'm I'd rather have a close relationship with my brother than have us be boats passing by. Because when we were in preschool, my brother would climb over the wall to have lunch with me. Irrelevant whether my friends were there or anything like that, he would climb over the wall, wait for me to have lunch, and then sit with me, or whatever the case is. And we make fun of each other a lot. We make fun of each other a lot. And sometimes we are at each other's throats,
Yes.
but like as siblings are.
Yeah.
But the older we get, I think the closer we get, because we realize we're having like a lot of the same experiences, because we are only 3 years apart. So, and I was always one step ahead of him in life because I'm smarter. But yeah, no, he is an incredible human being. And if you ask anybody in my life, the one thing I always say is the only person I will do absolutely anything for, it's my brother. Only person.
Well, that is so sweet, Simran. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
You are full of energy. You're just a ray of sunshine.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for joining us. And is there anything else that you'd like to add, Simran?
I would like to thank my parents and my brother for getting me where I am, because I have had some very dark
Can we be
moments.
Indian about this and cry? And
yeah, I've had some very, very dark moments, and whether they knew about it or not, they really did pull me back to the surface. And I really wouldn't be with where I am without them. I wouldn't be as successful as I am without them. And I'm very grateful that my parents stuck it out with me during my teenage phase, because my gosh, shame, those were bad. But yeah, I'm very, very grateful to them, and thank you so much for having me on your show, and thank you for everything you are doing in the industry, because you are a pioneer.
Oh,
You are
thank
blazing
you.
the way.
Thank you so much. And your dad, and your mom, and yourself and your brother, actually 8 years ago when I had my print publication, you guys came out to Midrand when I was there, and y'all did my, you did the Indian Connection shoot with me, and so you've always been supportive. Thank you so much, Simran. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, and that is the end of yet another uplifting episode of Talk the Talk with me, Tish. Viewers, thank you for watching, supporting, and following us once again. Please share our videos, as this could positively impact another woman's life. And this is why our platforms MWOTI, powered by MFC, a division of Nedbank, and the Talk show, powered by Seriti Solutions, was created to celebrate and honor women. Ladies, a woman that is confident is not someone that only admits to their flaws, but someone who can applaud them. These are the women who know where their strengths lie and understand that it is impossible to be perfect, and quite frankly, it's exhausting to try to measure up to this inconceivable standard, right, Simran? So what I'm trying to say is that you should love yourself for who you are, and for and not for who you are not. Okay, always remember, loving yourself is the greatest revolution. So the question should never be who's going to let me. It should always be who's going to stop me.
I love that.
Thank you.